Study after study after study shows you can build muscle in basically any rep range. This is because muscles don't recognize reps or weight on the bar. They recognize tension. When a muscle fiber is exposed to enough mechanical tension and enough motor units are recruited, growth is triggered. That's why a set of 5 heavy reps and a set of 25 lighter reps can both stimulate hypertrophy, as long as they're pushed close to failure. But here's the catch. Not all rep ranges are equally practical, especially for men over 40. Some create unnecessary fatigue, others beat up your joints, and some simply aren't sustainable long term. That's exactly what I want to share with you in this video, the most overpowered rep range for men our age. And make sure you stick around until the end, because I'm going to reveal the scientifically perfect program for men over 40. One that not only uses this rep range, but also includes the exercises that deliver the best results for your time and effort. Let's start with the high end of the spectrum. Sets of 20 to 30 reps absolutely can build muscle. The logic is simple. As your slow twitch fibers fatigue, your body is forced to recruit the bigger, growth-prone, fast twitch fibers. By the end of the set, you've tapped into the same motor units you would have with a heavier load, exposing them to mechanical tension, leading to muscle growth. It's good in theory, but in practice, high reps can bring problems that make them a poor choice for most lifters. Primarily, there's the fatigue recovery interplay. High rep sets create massive metabolic stress. The buildup and interaction of hydrogen ions, inorganic phosphate, and calcium ions inside the muscle fiber, while producing the burn that people associate with effective training, interfere with contractile function. Simply put, high reps create an environment that reduces muscle force and induces unnecessary fatigue, and the same environment that tanks your performance in the short term also slows recovery afterward, since the added fatigue and metabolite buildup contribute to more muscle damage and longer turnaround between sessions. Also, notice how you finish the set, gasping for air after a set of high-rep squats, for example. That's because these sets don't just stress the muscle, they also tax your cardiovascular system. It feels like cardio layered on top of lifting, which only adds to the recovery demand and leaves you weaker going into the next set. Second, there's the enjoyment factor, or lack thereof. Research has shown that people consistently dislike high-rep, light-load training compared to moderate or heavy work. The prolonged burning sensation, cardiovascular demand, and higher RPE all add up to workouts that feel more like punishment than progress. And that's the problem. Most guys never take a 25-rep set anywhere close to true muscular failure. The discomfort builds long before the muscles are truly spent, so what feels like failure is often just stopping at your pain threshold. In theory, high reps can build muscle. But if muscle growth is the goal, there are smarter ways to train that let you push hard without all the drawbacks. On the other end of the spectrum are low rep sets, say 1 to 5 reps with heavier loads. From the very first rep, heavy loads recruit the largest motor units, giving you immediate stimulation of the high threshold fibers with the greatest growth potential. The problem is that hypertrophy isn't only about recruitment, it's about how many quality reps you can accumulate for the target muscle. That's where low rep training falls short. With sets of 3 to 5, it's difficult to build enough training volume before fatigue, joint strain, or nervous system stress forces you to stop. The result is lower overall workload, which we know is another key driver of hypertrophy. This is especially important for older men who experience anabolic resistance, the reduced muscle building response to both training and protein intake that comes with age. Research shows that doubling exercise volume makes little difference in younger lifters, but significantly boosts the anabolic response in older men. In other words, older men need more total work to maximize growth. growth, and low-rep training makes it nearly impossible to get there. And even if you tried, how many sets would it take to rack up enough effective reps in the 3 to 5 rep range? The answer is too many. It's simply not practical, especially for busy men over 40 who don't have 2 or 3 hours to spend in the gym. Low rep work also compromises muscle targeting. When the weight is near your max, your body's priority is just moving the load from point A to point B. Stabilizers and secondary muscles kick in more than you'd like, reducing tension on the prime movers. With compound lifts, some spillover is inevitable, but with isolation lifts, the problem becomes glaring. Go too heavy on curls and you end up using momentum and other muscles instead of keeping the work on your biceps. The more that happens, the less stimulus the target muscle actually receives. Not only that, but moving heavy loads in ways an exercise wasn't meant for only raises your injury risk. So while low reps are excellent for building strength, they're not the most efficient path to building size, particularly if muscle growth is your main goal. This brings us to the sweet spot, the 6 to 12 rep range. For decades, it's been called the hypertrophy zone, and for good reason. Training in this range recruits the fast twitch fibers with the most growth potential quickly, without the excessive fatigue that comes with lighter loads. At the same time, the weight is heavy enough to generate high levels of mechanical tension without being so heavy that your joints take a beating. Research supports this balance. In older men, a study testing loads from 20 to 90% of 1 rep max found a sigmoidal dose response in muscle protein synthesis. At very light loads, around 20 to 40%, there was little change. But once the load reached 60%, about a 12 rep max, the growth signal surged and stayed elevated at 75 and 90%. In other words, once you cross that 60% threshold, you're squarely in the growth zone. The 6 to 12 range also balances recovery. It creates a strong hypertrophy stimulus without the crippling fatigue of 20 rep sets or the neural and joint stress of very heavy singles and triples. That means you can train hard, recover well, and sustain progress long term. Far from being a compromise, this range is the most practical and efficient way to build muscle consistently. That said, not all lifts benefit from the same rep target. Where you land inside the 6 to 12 zone depends on the exercise. For compound lifts, the lower end, say 6 to 8 reps, works best. You can load heavy enough to feel strong and maximize tension without worrying about form breaking down or flaring up nagging injuries. Personally, this is where I feel most powerful. It's also where many older lifters can still enjoy moving big weights without paying the price in recovery. For isolation lifts, I stay higher in the range, say 8 to 12 reps. The pump is satisfying, the tension stays on the target muscle, and you don't have to go crazy heavy to make it effective. This split, heavier for compounds, lighter for isolations, keeps the stimulus high, the risk low, and the enjoyment factor intact. Now, saying the 6 to 12 rep range is best doesn't mean you should never step outside it. Occasional low rep sets like 3 to 5 build raw strength and power, which can indirectly support hypertrophy. Higher rep work like 15 to 20 can be useful on safe, controlled movements like machine presses or leg presses where the risk of breakdown is low. These options add variety and can enhance training, but they should complement the core of your program, not replace it. This matters after 40 because recovery slows, joints are less forgiving, and your margin for error shrinks. That doesn't mean you're fragile, it just means you need to train smarter. The 6 to 12 rep range gives you exactly what you need at this stage: enough load to maximally stimulate fast twitch fibers, enough reps to accumulate meaningful volume, manageable fatigue for consistent training, and less joint stress which keeps you lifting for years to come. So again, every rep range has the potential to build muscle, but the realities of training in your 40s and beyond make the 6 to 12 range uniquely powerful. It gives you the best balance of mechanical tension, motor unit recruitment, recovery, and consistency. And if you're still struggling to build muscle, grab a free copy of my brand new science-based training guide, Full Body 40. This is a high-frequency program specifically designed for men over 40 who want to build muscle and gain strength. Whether you can only train 2 times per week or prefer to train every day, there's something in there for you to follow. Did you find this video helpful? If so, click the like button below as it'll truly help out the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for more videos and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next one.